Hello folks, welcome to another daily Bitcoin market analysis by Inspocrypto. Today I'm not going to spend 30 minutes in my initial comment because we have talked a lot yesterday. I will talk today about a different topic. It's going to be a geopolitical one. It's going to be, it was very interesting what I have read, and we will talk about that today. But first of all, I would like to offer to place comments on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Substack. If you have a topic in your interest related to geopolitics, related to monetary policy or markets in general, just place your question. I can pick up your questions and make my research and use them also for an initial comment, because sometimes we are talking over and over again about the same topics. Of course, the world is very dynamic, but sometimes, it's always repeating and it doesn't make... So the part of initial comment, it's more to be informative but also entertaining. And what I don't want to do is, to waste your time and also not mine. So it would be great if you have some questions. That's something we have on our list for Phoenicia, that we will bring more interaction in our analysis, because Phoenicia is not going to analyze only the crypto market or equities in general. We will go further. I have mentioned that in the past, so it's going to be much more interesting. We will have much more topics than we can talk about. However, let us talk a little bit about the last trip of a European president, a president of a European nation that did a trip to China. Some of you know him, and some of you, I guess, not. His name is Emmanuel Macron. Who is Emmanuel Macron? Well, actually, Emmanuel Macron is the president of France. France, the country of, some would say as first, the baguette, the Louvre, l'amour. So a lot of different things that we have in mind when we talk about France. But France, at the same time, it's a very interesting country with a very interesting culture. The citizens are always fighting for their rights, and always fighting against its own government. Always. It's almost every single French guy is, has a revolution spirit in it. I have spent that's years ago, that was close after my university, after my graduation. I spent some time at BMW Financial Services. That was in the beginning of my career. And BMW, they are offering flats and rooms if you're coming from abroad, to rent for cheap money, because Munich is extremely expensive. And it was a very, very interesting and nice experience for me, because at that time I rent a room. And my roommate was a Mexican that was studying at MIT, because BMW had with the MIT an agreement. So many students from MIT, they spent just an internship of 6 months and sometimes even 1 year in Munich in different departments of BMW. So I met them, different, today friends of mine, different people there. And one of them was not necessarily one of my roommate is or was studying in MIT, and now it's a rocket scientist working for Elon Musk, for example. And another one is today a CEO of a robot company in Silicon Valley. So many of them did a great career. And another one, and he was from Paris, because it seems that BMW also had an agreement with the military college or the military university of Paris. It's one of these elite universities, it seems, in France. I didn't know that, but at that time, one of my friends was a student in this university. I met him there in these. He wasn't my roommate, but he was, just some rooms close to my room. And we spent the evenings always together discussing about politics and economy and drinking beer and talking about, well, women and so on and so forth. You can imagine. I mean, it was a different time. And however, he was telling me that every single French is always waiting for the next revolution, indicating that every single of them are tracking what politicians and France are doing. If they don't agree, the first thing they do is go to the streets and demonstrate or show them we don't agree what you are doing. So it's a very interesting culture, because I would say it's really unique in whole Europe. Maybe the Belgians and the Dutch are similar, but French guys are really unique, or French in general. However, Emmanuel Macron, the president of this country, he spent a trip in China, and I mean, Xi, the president of China, was looking to destabilize Europe, because, with all the Ukraine conflict, the US voice is very loud here in Europe. And when Joe Biden called Olaf Scholz to send some tanks, Olaf Scholz just said, yes, of course. Without Joe Biden's call, he was denying it. So indicating that, the US has a big influence in Europe. While we know that between China and the US, we are seeing that, both sides are preparing to have in the future a military conflict. We know that one of the biggest allies that China has is Russia, and Russia and China working together, and of course with their BRICS allies like South Africa, Brazil, and so on, and some others who are waiting to become memberships of the BRICS as well, like Egypt and Saudi Arabia, as I have mentioned before as well. But back to the topic, Emmanuel Macron. Many people thought, well, Emmanuel Macron is going just to go to China, and once again, he will not do anything, like he did last time in Africa, when he noticed that, because you can imagine that France and the UK, England, for example, was very present in Asia, but also in Africa. So countries like Cameroon, for example, that always had a tradition to, how to say that, to get involved some influences from France when it came to any elections in Cameroon. That's something usual there. Also something that I knew from it was a friend of mine in the university. His father was in Cameroon one of the ministers, and it was also very interesting because they had election there, and in France they knew the results before Cameroon was publishing it. So such kind, like, the government in France deciding who won the elections in Cameroon. That was very, very fantastic to see how it works. However, Emmanuel Macron, when they noticed that Russia is getting more and more influence in Africa, also China, but Russia, making agreements and deals with many different African countries, that waked up, of course, Emmanuel Macron, and the first thing he did is a trip in Africa. That didn't work well for him. But however, so many thought, okay, this China trip is going to be almost the same. Just to go there, just, to bring a little bit of pain in the ass to Xi, and that's it. Just to say, hey, we want to defend democratic rights, and so on and so forth. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And that's really interesting because Xi at the same time announced that he is looking for a country in Europe to destabilize the situation in Europe, because it seems, that was their analysis, Europe was in the hands of the US. So to destabilize, well, the most interesting part here is, to be honest, that Macron went to China and everything changed. Everything, not only his rhetoric related to the US. Because while, for example, Germany has started to bring some distance to China and looking around for a substitute when it comes to some trade agreements and so on and so forth, to reduce the trade agreements with China, and looking around, for example, with Singapore and, well, of course, Taiwan and other countries. France, right now, with Macron's trip in China, has started to bring a new European agenda. And that's something that I guess the US don't like at all, and that plays very well to China's hands. Just to mention something, but the biggest one is that Macron has said in this meeting that the US dollar is a threat for Europeans' interests. And that's a bomb. That's a nuke. That's like, what? I mean, that's not new. That's absolutely not new. And it wasn't a problem after World War II, when, with the Marshall Plan, and when the US pumped a lot of money to rebuild Europe. But now it seems a big problem. A big problem because what Macron is saying, and that's something where usually I don't agree with Macron, but in that thing, I need to say I agree with him. Is, if two guys are fighting, maybe the third one should shut up and not do anything, or at least don't take any party and say, I'm in favor of him. But that's exactly what Europe is doing. It has demonstrated very well with the Ukraine conflict that it said, yeah, we are for Ukraine, we are absolutely against Russia. Also, partly, if you like it or not, pushed by the US and UK, but mainly US. UK is not playing a big role in all of that, but for the US. What Macron is initiating is indeed a destabilization of the European agenda for the US. If that will happen, so you remember what I told you, that the Fed is offering, if you have US treasuries, you can use them as collateral. If you are, for example, European Central Bank, you can use this US treasuries to get US dollar. Artificially, of course, generating demand for the US dollar. Because we know that other allies like Saudi Arabia, they said, I don't care anymore about US. I mean, that's a friendship that was working for 50 decades, 60 decades or something, and very well. But now Saudi Arabia has said, we don't need the US anymore. I prefer to make deals with Russia and with China. Actually, both have the same interest like we have. So if Macron go forward, and if the remaining European nations start to rethink their situation with the US, that could become a very, very dirty thing. Because the US will not allow that. It's a very simple thing. I'm hearing now from others close to military organizations, for example, that China is preparing a war against Taiwan. Well, that's not new. We knew that that will happen. It seems we are talking about in the next 6 months, like I knew with the Ukraine conflict before Russia started its military conflict with Ukraine. I knew about that also almost 6 months before. And it seems it's happening again. So we are talking about September, October this year. If that's going to happen, it's going to be extremely big. I think for Europe, it could be a big problem, because when two big guys are fighting, to be part of one of them could be extremely painful. So it seems something happens between Emmanuel Macron and Xi, and I think Xi, he was very successful with his strategy. And it seems that could be a big problem for the US later on. Depends how Germany will react. It will depend how Netherlands will react, because we are talking here about the most powerful countries. Some people think Netherlands. Yeah, Netherlands. It may be a little country, but a very powerful one. And the same with Norwegian, and the same with Sweden, of course, and so on and so forth. So that could be a big problem for Europe as well, because it would split Europe in two parties, the pro-US and, well, the neutral one. I don't know if that could exist if we have an escalation of the military conflict in Europe. But let us say those who are not actively supporting the US, And those who are, and they will show their real face, who are in favor of China and Russia. So that could not only destabilize the situation for the US abroad, but also destabilize and bring new conflicts to Europe as well. Yes, it is a mess. It is really a mess. While the markets are doing what they are doing since months, ignoring everything. Well, I'm saying ignoring, but they are not ignoring it. They don't know when it can start. That can happen in 1 week, that can happen in 2 days, and that can happen in 3 months. And that's why the markets are just trading, making trade operations short term. You know, the zero DTE problem we have on equities, or for example on SP 500, where they use 0-day expiry options to push the price up. It's absolutely short term. We are talking about few hours before expiry. And yeah, it seems that's what's happening, and it seems that that is the transition to a situation we don't know. We didn't maybe know that from books and from stories that our grandfathers told us. Of course, this conflict will be completely different. It will be a multi-layer conflict. Economics, currency, so monetary, military, of course, and biological, chemical, multi-layer, a hybrid war. And that's what we will get. Because it's not just to, some people really think someone will press the red button and that's it. We will all disappear. That will not happen. Unfortunately not. No, of course not. But yeah, it will bring more pain. And it's a process. One thing is to have another military conflict in Taiwan, but it's just another piece of the puzzle. The question is, what should we do to hold our wealth or to invest? Well, that's not easy. I mean, I have decided for one way. I have said, no crypto. I would love to invest all my money in crypto if I would know that's safe, but I know it's not. Equities, commodities? No. Because on commodities we are talking about assets that are involved in geopolitical political streams. Crude, gas, food. We can have a lot of volatility there. They can start to nuke markets just because, geopolitical interests. Gold. I mean, I have mentioned I'm absolutely not against gold, but if governments like 100 years ago starts to ban gold, to hold gold at home, they can say that. I mean, they did it in the past. But the option is to buy gold futures, for example. Maybe it will work, maybe not. Gold is becoming more and more a geopolitical victim, like the US dollar. I don't know if it's 100% to split and to manage a little bit your risk and to have a little bit of gold, maybe a little bit of US dollars and some other assets. It's, I guess, the best strategy. I just can tell you one thing because, I wasn't always working for banks. I worked also for automotive. And when I spent my time at Bentley Motors, that was a great time, you can imagine, because I had the opportunity to drive those cars as well. Was fantastic. But one of the most interesting part was the statistics that I could see. And it was very interesting. They did a lot of different research. And one of them was the development of luxury goods in economy crisis. And I just can tell you that wealthy people, they don't can make big money in crisis. They spend that money. They spend that money like, like we do at the end of the month when we receive our money. Well, we do exactly the same. Okay, we are looking for it and say, great, I have money in my account, so I can spend that money. They do exactly the same in the crisis. So, to have some goods in that part, in luxuries, it would be, I think, also a good idea. Of course, you need to make your own research and you need to spend some time taking into account, you have some fakes out there and so on and so forth. But any kind of, arts, things you can collecting where you have a big community of collectors, for example, usually you will find there a lot of wealthy people. Well, old timers, of course, but it's, if you need to leave your country with 2-3 old timers in your garage, is going to be a little bit difficult. But that's something you should have in mind. It worked in the past always, and it will also work in the future. You will always have wealthy people who are going to spend that money. The question is if they are going to spend, or the big question is, where are wealthy people going to canalize their spendings? That will be the best part, something we don't know today. We can check the context and histories and try to figure out if that would work today as well. Just an idea you should think about. But for today, 28 minutes. I said I'm not going to spend 30 minutes, right? But I did finally. However, we are going now to talk about the market, and we will see. Please do me a favor and really make some comments on my analysis and place your questions if you have some, or maybe some topics you would like to talk about that. Just drop me a line and I would look forward. So, weights ratio, nothing new. Well, it's not true. I mean, we were here and now we are here at 50, indicating, that's what it's doing, maintaining here at 50 right now. Because it went up, it declined, but that's it. I mean, you can see that the price is not doing anything at the moment. It declined a little bit. Now, it's just, it looks like a little bit, it's doing such kind of cup and handle formation or something, and then afterwards more up. At least that's how it looks like at the moment. We will see if that's going to happen or not. We will check the whole situation more and more. We will see how far they want to go. However, the weights ratio, 30 days moving average, okay, fine, went up, but at the moment I don't see here any big price move related to it. If we take a look to the weights ratio 30 hours moving average, we can see that the 1 hour declined. It's now pushing up a little bit. That's why the price is declining. And here we can see what they are doing. You know, usually I would expect such kind of, and then more up. We will see if that's going to happen or not. However, if we take a look here, we can see that they were preparing the push up. They did it. At the same time, the weights ratio 30 hours moving average, once again almost at 88. Then it started to decline. We are not reaching 90% anymore. It's absolutely in control, and they don't want to nuke. It's everything fine. Distribution, it seems. And I will show you later on also what they are doing. At least that's what I can see with on-chain. The stablecoin reserves on centralized exchanges declined a lot since mid of April, so since in the last 5 days, and that's mainly it. And that's what we can see. So let us go forward. So stablecoins net flow, we can see nothing big. Also here Bitcoins inflows related 500, 600, absolutely low, very low. I mean, that was yesterday evening where we received once again 2000 Bitcoins, but that's it. That's almost it. Here it looks very flat. Also here nothing big happening at the moment with Bitcoin's outflows. Stablecoins, also nothing big happening here. 30 millions in, 30 millions out. We had here a bigger outflow, 110 millions in stablecoins, but that's it. That's really it. So if we take a look, futures, let me say that funding rate down, up, down, up. That's what they are doing. If we check the open interest, yeah, it's doing something just different. And the leverage ratio, I think, looking very similar. Yeah. Yeah. Leverage ratio and open interest looking very similar. If we take a look to the net flow related to stablecoins and derivative exchanges, I would say it's almost zero. If we check Bitcoins related to derivative exchanges, that's something we can check here now. It's almost, so let me see. Okay. Yeah, I would say it's almost more in plus, indicating we are receiving more Bitcoin. Oh well, I'm not sure. Oh, come on, I hate that. So yeah, I would say at least here, since in the last few days we are receiving more Bitcoins than outflows. If we take a look, yesterday they liquidated 1,150 Bitcoins in longs and only 93 in shorts. Open interest declining a lot once again. Leverage ratio did already, it's now recovering, and the funding rate now declining, but you know, it's the trend. It's obviously still very positive. If we check that, it's up, indicating they are demanding more longs yet. So if we go forward, we can see here that, well, 50-50 in longs and shorts. On Ethereum looks more on short side, and shorts on Bitfinex also rising, $4 million more in shorts now than yesterday, while also some longs coming in now, 2.8 billions. But well, if we go now to the Kingfisher, let us go away. Let us take a look here. And we see 150 millions. Yesterday I think it was 180 millions. High leverage longs, so usually we should go a little bit more down. And yeah, so if I take a look here, I would say nothing special. Let us take a look to the high leverage. Oh, come on. I have 27 credits here. Oh. Why? No, not subscribed. No, give me. Oh, Jesus. So, okay. It declined here a lot, as we can see here as well. We had yesterday 100 millions, you remember. So we have high leverage shorts between 30,000 and 30,700, and high leverage longs between 30,000 and 29.3. That's it. Okay, we will see. 29.3 would be also possible, but we will see if that's going to happen. However, we are done here as well. Let us go forward. So if we take a look here, we can see almost 80 millions up with Tether on Binance, almost much less. Oh, well, no, it's 100 millions aggregated with Tether. Even BUSD here, almost 16 millions. USD, of course, from minus 60 to 160 millions. Oh, no, from 60 to 160, 55 millions. And everything doing exactly the same. We see here once again Binance with BUSD, Bitfinex, CBD reducing more while the price is going up. Bybit, you see that. Coinbase, of course, I didn't check the chart right today, but up only. Of course, up only. Yeah, Bitstamp, of course, Kraken and Gemini. So that's absolutely it. If we take a look here, we can see no big stablecoins came in anymore. Really nothing big. Only Tether, some millions here. For example, 47 millions. And here you can see a cluster that pushed up the price. Also some USDC to push up the price. BUSD only cashing out, and yeah, BUSD. Oh, interesting. We don't have any volume here anymore. And even GUSD cashing out at the moment. And that's mainly it. Let us take a look here. I think on entities nothing have changed. Well, market maker, yeah, they reduced more. Market maker receiving more. These guys reduced a lot. Now it's pushing up. We'll take a look. So retail pushing up, nothing, pushing up, declined, nothing. So now we will see why they are pushing up. So retail declined a lot in wallets, declined but maintaining now, pushing up more. So those with in general we can say that retail is pushing up more and having more wallets. With bitcoins, 1 to 10 bitcoin holders also pushing up. These guys pushing up. These guys declined a lot, now pushed up. The market maker received also more wallets from these guys here, and that's why their balance pushed up, and that's mainly it. Yeah. So let us go to the next chapter. Do we have anything? No, I don't think. we have anything here. Okay, 700 bitcoins coming in from market maker, but nothing big. Everything is absolutely unchanged. The market is not doing anything, really nothing. We can see here that well, what happens now? Also very interesting. While the market is declining, we can see that they are withdrawing here bitcoins. Let me see. Bitcoin exchange withdrawing addresses. So here also indicating a lot of addresses withdrawing bitcoins here and bitcoins here. So they purchased and they are taking out these bitcoins. The question is, who is that? I guess mainly retail, FOMO, buying, and that's the count of wallets, so it makes sense. It's not talking about the volume, but only about the wallets. But of course, bots as well, I guess. It's something, However, that's it from here. Also here, nothing changed. Everything centralized exchanges pushed once again the price up, like they did here, for example, and that's it. Let us go forward. So on Coinbase, we can see that if we reduce a little bit, that they are waiting between 31, 32. At the same time here also a 26.5 or 25, but that's not new, nothing have changed. Bitstamp, they not doing anything here as well, not indicating. They removed a lot of sell orders. Here on Binance right now, they not even triggered this sell order here, but they are reinforcing 32k, so I guess we will go even more up. BUSD, Binance, also not indicating anything here. Bitfinex, on Bitfinex 32k, that's what we see, 32k for example, also waiting there. OKEX, nothing. Kraken, on Kraken also waiting 32k. It's obviously they want to push up more, 32k to trigger all these sell orders. That's BitMEX. On BitMEX nothing. No derivatives. Bybit, BTC USD nothing. USDT nothing. Binance BTC USDT, waiting here to short, here to short, 31.5, 31, but at the same time, it was obvious yesterday and they pushed up. So here, I mean, that's a futures market, almost a futures market, and obviously what they are here saying is just that they want to let the price go up a little bit more, hitting 30,500 once again. It seems maybe a little bit higher, or we will see. BTC BUSD, nothing. Bitfinex, also Bitfinex, look what Bitfinex is doing. It's that's people say that's free speech and liberty. Yeah, that's how it looks like. Everything controlled and using bots just to drive the market price. That's what they are doing. Nothing else. So crazy. But at least it's transparent. That's something very good. If you like it, you can trade it. If not, stay away. 29k. Here waiting too long on Kraken. OKEX futures, nothing. And Deribit, nothing. 31.4. Yeah, and that's at 31.4 and 29.5. Yeah, that's actually it.